Get situated. Hey, folks. I see a couple people in chat. Get situated. Hey, folks. I see a couple people in chat.
Oh God.
I had the stream open in another tab, and I'm sure that just created echoes. I apologize for that, folks in chat. I I'm feeding my entire desktop audio. So, Phil, can you say something just so we can get like a quick thumbs up, thumbs down on audio levels?
Yes, good morning and or afternoon and or evening for international viewers.
All right. I'm just gonna wait and see if I can get stuff in chat. If we sound off, please let us know so we can start this before the majority body of the stream. Hello, everyone who's decided to show up. Levels are pretty nice. Okay, cool. As long as we're not like drastically different, I think that's okay. And I actually have stereo audio this time since I'm not using a line level mic, which yeah, thank you, Callie, in the chat. Good afternoon. Yep. Yeah, I guess technically it is afternoon for us as well by the barest of standards. But yeah, just gonna wait a second, see if some more folks are gonna kind of trickle in. Oh, wow, it's actually a good chunk of people here. It's just not a lot of people chatting. Okay, cool. Neat. Yeah, I even see people following. Cool. All right. In that case, I think we can get ready to get started here. Thank you everyone for coming out. We're doing a stream to talk about Midnight Hunt cards, and since the set was a little light in terms of stuff people were really hyped on, we're also going to be taking some time to do some backlog work. Did ask for folks to recommend stuff to discuss during this stream in a thread over on the Discord, so I'll be pulling that in. Let me just swap over to one of our good views. There we go. All right. So hopefully stream should be all right. Yep, I can see it in my console. Cool. So we're going to be going through some of the stuff we polled on. For this time, we're just going through stuff that had a positive NPS score. So people had more strong positive opinions than strong negative opinions. And I think we're just going to start off with the easy ones. So we've got Search Party Captain here. And boy howdy, this is just going to be a fine Magic card, isn't it?
Yeah, as I've joked poorly with my great sense of humor, we could try to come up with more to say about it, but it's all well, what if we construct this horrible scenario where somehow this isn't a good card?
Yeah.
And
You've really got to work at it too. Like, it's got to be like, last card, no cards at library, no creatures to attack with, like, and you've kind of already lost. This isn't a bad card there. It just doesn't win. But yeah, I think you can get this for 3 mana or less. You're happy with it. It's at that point a better Phyrexian Rager. And yeah, I think sometimes it's going to be a 1 mana 2/2 draw card, and that's going to be sweet. Yeah, and I do remember distinctly in our last set review being like, yeah, I know they're going to print a better what is it,
Priest of the Ancient Lore.
Priest of Ancient
Priest
Lore.
of the Ancient Lore. Yep.
Thank you. Yeah. So this is just for folks playing along at home. This is probably not going to just replace that 1/1. That said, should probably have a home in our cube. All right, let's move on to other stuff. So I'm gonna just transition over. So we have Cathar Commando next. I am a really big fan of this card. And I know I've talked about the fact that this is probably a high enough percentage of a what do you call it? A high enough percentage of a Vindicate that it probably just does stuff. You flash this in before blocks, eat their thing if that's what you need, or you flash it in, get a free block, eat their problematic artifact or enchantment, move on with your life. Like, I don't know, it's a cool modal spell.
Yeah, this is. I mean, being 2 mana instead of 3 mana, it fills a lot of the wish list that we had for the black flash creatures, Hired Blade, and the
Mm-hmm.
one from Guilds of Ravnica that was actually Demir. Um,
Whisper
it was
agent.
hybrid. Yes, Whisper Agent. So still hits extremely hard. Dies to a sapling token on defense, but prevents that damage for you and lets you use mana on your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
Um, Much like Priest of Ancient Lore, it's I can imagine a scenario where this is horrible, but like we've played weaker 3/1s for two
Yes.
in white in
Yes.
the past, and
And
this is
been reasonably
all up
happy
there.
about him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is, again, like, and it bears out, like, this is a card that the response for it was overwhelmingly positive. This one actually had no one with negative feelings towards it. So, in general, this is something that the community clearly wants. Calibu in the chat points out white Abrade and then some. Yeah. Yeah. Like, this does a pretty decent impression of Abrade that sometimes is just going to turn sideways and hit face for 3, and that's also fine. Yeah. All right, let's move on to another one that people were pretty generally positive about. Um, we've got Consider. This was one of the first things that got previewed out of this set. It is, and let me just pull up in the other window. We are already on Opt, and yeah, both of these Magic cards are pretty good. Um, the non-keyworded Surveil versus Scry, technically the graveyard is a more accessible zone than the bottom of your library. There are constructible situations where you could argue that scrying is better, but in general, you're going to be happier with something in the graveyard because it remains accessible to you. We're not running a whole ton of graveyard hate, so it's unlikely that, this has a massive downside to it. Again, this is probably not a replace. This is probably a supplement, kind of settling into that, like, look at one, draw one kind of style of cantrips. But yeah, any thoughts, Fizzled?
Yeah, it's I've been dealing with the monsters of Cube, the peasant players, and they are they are extremely happy with it. It's more powerful in their format because they have more powerful tools. Uh, but yeah, much like Opt, much like Curate, and oh gosh, what's the other one? My brain says Lose Focus, but Lose Focus is not a cantrip.
There's so many of them. Deliberate, is that the two
That's
mana
the
one?
one. Yeah. Yes. Deliberate. Thank you. Like we're spoiled for good cantrips at common, and this is S tier, I believe the kids say.
Yes, yes. I think this is an easy, just like, it's instant speed. It clears the thing off the top of your library. Like, there's it doesn't have the brainstorm problem of inexperienced player plays brainstorm and just has a very bad time locking themselves out of the game for 3 turns. Um, but yeah, I think Consider is I think just gonna be a perennial kind of all star. Um, yeah. Let's swap over to another one, and this is one that kind of shocked me. It's not that I think this card is bad by any means, but I was a little bit shocked to see Ardent Elementalist as our fourth most generally well liked card. Um, you know, we've been on Mnemonic Wall for a while. We've had Is It Chronarch in. I'm not gonna say just kind of taking up one of our gold slots for Izzet, but it is kind of just there. But yeah, it's nice that red finally gets like an actual Archaeomancer. It's a slightly more aggressive body, but you're not generally playing these types of cards for the bodies. And like, you know, even if you're not playing like sort of a more spellsy kind of like blue red thing, you can still just play Ardent Elementalist in like as a way to get back a bolt for the last 3 points of damage. Like, sure, 5 mana bolt isn't good, but 5 mana bolt that wins the game is fine. That's kind of my take on this.
Now I can't remember which writer for the dojo said that. Was that Comer or was that Flores? No, it's yes. I'm displaying my age, and I assume the kids in Twitch are saying, "What is he talking about?" I love it. Um, yeah, the body is not exciting, so you're definitely treating this just as what is the cost of regrowing my instant spell. 2 generic mana is not unreasonable for that cost, especially with the relatively large number of low CMC, excuse me, mana value finishers that we do have in red, especially. Um, so if this is your top end, if this is what you top deck once you have 5 or 6 mana, you're probably in an okay position in those theoretical low to the ground aggro decks. If it's your control deck, you don't mind regrowing a terror, a Doomblade. Why would I say terror?
We're not even on Doomblade anymore, man.
I
We've
I,
gotten
I know, I
we're
know,
in
but
we're in 2021 Magic.
okay, but I don't know the names of the 2021 spells.
Cast
The
down,
murder the
cast.
murder that shocks you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh god, they've been printing some really great stuff at Uncommon. All right. Yeah. I think Ardent Elementalist is something where we're gonna have to think about it a little bit harder than some of the other options, but I do like this in sort of the abstract. I think it's a completely reasonable card. I think the fact that this is really splashable, because like your mono red deck is not really loving this. So the fact that this is easy to just slot into another deck as a way to buy back a high value spell later in the game, I think is pretty nice.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next one. This one is Organ Hoarder, which has a delightful rhythm to that name. So this is a 4 mana 3/2 that does a strategic planning when it ETBs. Strategic planning is a sweet magic card, and I think tacking 2 mana on for a 3/2 is pretty reasonable. Like, you're losing out on your instant sorcery recursion synergy for instead you're getting like the fact that this will you know play nice with all the creature recursion. So slightly different flavors, slightly higher mana cost. We don't fully support self-mill as a strategy within the cube, but there is value to be gained by it. And hell, the fact that this, at the end of the day, does say draw card on it, pretty much, I think is probably kind of close to enough, especially since it digs through a little. Yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts?
Yeah. So to me, the comparison is, yeah, still in the cube. I'm so tired. Pondering Mage,
Mm-hmm.
and we've heard some feedback in the chat. I've had this experience myself in MH1 draft. Once you get to 5 mana, taking that whole turn to try to cast Ponder leaves you nothing. Maybe you're already dead. Maybe they had Jackal Pups. Maybe they had, who knows, raise the alarms. It, losing that toughness, but being able to do this a turn earlier and potentially dig for the same answer could save your control deck, maybe. And I don't know. I didn't have a chance to play with this one in my MH1, my Midnight Hunt pre-release
Mm-hmm.
in paper. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Uh, Caliboo accurately says the digging is good. I think this body will be doing a lot of trading, and that's accurate. The 3/2 is
That
that
sacred body size,
WotC.
right?
Yeah, the please attack with this. Please don't hang back with it if you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
But you're really, I mean, you're it's not brainstorm. What's the I can't think of the new spell, but it's it's look at three cards, put one in your hand and discard, and then you have a blocker if you desperately need it.
Yeah.
That's that's not horrible.
Yeah, and the difference between 4 and 5 mana in this format is pretty large because with 1 and 2 mana ramp you can get to 4 early, but getting to 5 on turn 3 is I think pretty rough. Like you have to go runner ramp spells, and then you're ramping into like Pondering Mage, whereas this is something that if you happen to be on some dorks or one of the green ramp spells at 2, this is a pretty reasonable like turn 3able spell that keeps things moving and provides a body to the board. So yeah, I do think this is going to wind up trading off a lot. It will every so often get to trade up, which I think is really nice. 3/2 bodies are like I know I've mentioned this article before, but there was an Ari Lax article about why this particular stat line is super good for Magic in limited. But I'm not going to bore folks with the details of that. Let's move on to the next one. So this is Famished Foragers, which I do just want to set up with another card here because we are currently playing Keldon Raider, which is a 4 mana 4/3. When it ETBs, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Now, Famished Foragers, same body, slightly easier to cast. But if an opponent lost life this turn, when it ETBs, you get 3 mana. Then it has an activated 3 mana, discard a card, draw a card. So some amount of the time, you're not going to get that mana, but like, it's any amount of life. It's pretty easy to set up this like faux spectacle ability, and I just I cannot get past the fact that there is the option of your turn 4 being swing in, land at least 1 point of damage, casting this, and then casting Scophos Reaver, and all of a sudden I've made 8 power to the board for my next attack. Yeah, I don't know. I think the fact that it has its own mana sink kind of negates some of the issues these ETB add mana creatures usually have. But yeah, sometimes it's just a 4 mana 4/3 and that's okay. Yeah, sometimes it is just going to be a 4 mana 4/3, and you could do worse than that. I think the major thing here is we do just have something that is, there is a requirement on Famished Foragers, but I think if you can meet that requirement fairly frequently, which a lot of red decks probably will be able to, this is just better than Keldon Raider.
Yeah, being more splashable is not insignificant. There are times where my decks are not balanced. I think honestly it was you who pointed this out to me because my brain glanced over this too many words on the card during spoilers, and I was like, oh yeah, this actually just does what Keldon Raiders does, but better and more. And also, the most important thing, you can mutate Dreamtail Heron onto this, where you couldn't do that to Keldon Raider.
Oh boy. Oh, this thing with flying. Ugh. And yeah, I think yeah, I'm just pretty up on this, especially with if the red deck has hit 4 mana and is likely running a little light on cards, especially if you cast something off the mana from this, being able to filter future draws into stuff. Yeah, it isn't a vanilla after it's done entering the battlefield, which feels nice. Yeah, the fact that this can also just if it does get cast without the damage, the next turn you can just start pitching cards into this thing if you need to. Yeah. Pretty big fan. All right, next one. And this is one where I'm going to be in the minority here. This is a Static Awakener. So this is a 1 mana 1/1. You can pay 3 mana, sack another creature, draw a card, then transform it. Activate only once each turn, and it turns into a vanilla 4/4. I don't think that this is exciting to me, and I understand the fact that a 4/4 is pretty big, and this is kind of like a 4 mana 4/4 draw a card, sack a creature kind of thing. I am not in love with this in the same way a lot of people are, and I feel like people are positive enough on it that I'm willing to give it a chance, but this is not something that thrills me.
Yeah, the size is very reasonable. This is there used to be huge, horrible downsides to getting a 4/4
Yes.
for 4 mana in black. Um, Duralore is one of my favorite cards. Um, yes, the old school stuff. I I can both understand and not be excited, I guess, by this in the way that the community seemed to be. Um, it, there's some aristocrats stuff to it, um, but uh, otherwise, I don't know. It's it's more interesting than it is exciting, um, and and it's hard for me to put into words how that distinction impacts my view of the card.
So
Like I
for me, I kind of look at this and I see the things that I like about it. Like it's splitting up the cost of a 4 mana effect. It's splitting it up across multiple turns. I guess, like, does it create interesting play patterns though? That's the thing for me. Like, the best I can think is, like, using this as like a sneaky way to make it big during combat, and even then, it's like an onboard trick, and they can respond to it with like literally any removal spell and eat it. I don't know.
oh, what is that card? Sorry, I've also recently taken to playing Chandelar again.
Oh,
Uh,
Jesus.
Twanos Twanos' Wand of Twanos.
Oh God, I don't even know what that one does off the top of my head. But yeah, like there we
Yeah, there it is.
go. Target creature with power 2 or less game ball. Yeah, I don't know. This is one where, like, I'm willing to, if we can find a nice easy swap for this, something that's like a reasonably decent card that people won't miss. But yeah, I don't know. I am not as thrilled as this by other people, but I do understand some of the appeal, and at the end of the day, this cube is for a large number of people, not my personal tastes. So that's my bid on it. If it does not perform super well and people aren't excited about it in 6 months, it'll probably come out again, but, is what it is.
So, and I don't want to get into hypotheticals about what the card really could be, but like, I'm looking at some of our lower drops, but in the 2 drop area, we have Emissary and Doom Dissenter, which you know create another 2/2 when they die. So we have benefits for sacrificing something else,
Mm-hmm.
but we also have some early played creatures like Gluttonous Slug that some of the community have found unexciting, and I don't think they're inherently wrong.
I mean,
Um,
I wouldn't hate getting rid of Disowned Ancestor, given that some people feel that can really kind of clog up the early game.
yeah.
Um,
So is this? I guess I'm asking the Twitch chat. Is this the sort of card where um, you folks are seeing a card that actually incentivizes um, the caster of Ecstatic Awakener uh, to go on the offensive and to make something happen as opposed to dirtling? Is that what I've been missing
I
in
mean,
my analysis?
I think 100%. I don't want to speak for the community as a whole, but like I do not want to play this in a slow deck. Like if I'm playing a slow deck, I want all the board presence I can to just like chump stuff. and I don't think a Static Awakener is large enough on the backside for me to be interested in this in a slow deck. Like, I want to be like something that's excited to turn creatures sideways at the end of the day.
We've got a comment from Callie. Kelly Boo says, I like that you get a permanent power payoff for the sacrifice, as well as the card draw. Gets big early and will be the biggest thing on the battlefield for a minute. That's all technically true. The best kind of correct is technically correct. It's a 1-drop / 3-drop. It gets between early enough to need an answer. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
That's helpful.
I'm fine with this going in for a while and revisiting it at a later date to see how people feel about it. But there's a real threat mid game, and unlike a lot of other sacrifice cards, not punished by bounce if they reset it. I mean, it kind of is punished a little bit by the bounce, but yeah, I see what you're getting at here. Like, you're not. This isn't a Nantuko Husk where you've sacked your whole board into this thing and then they just bounce it. But yeah, I understand the community is very much a fan of this. I am okay with it going in. It will be one of those ones that gets a review in 6 months, and we see how people feel about it having played it. If we like it, stays in. Fine by me. Let's swap over. Our next one is Diregraph Horde, aka the Grave Titan we've got at home. So this is 5 mana for a 3/4. And you get 2 of these Decayed Zombies. And you also get to exile 2 cards from graveyards, or up to 2 cards from graveyards, which is like a neat little side thing. I don't want to.
It's trinket text that's not gonna win you the game necessarily, but shouldn't be ignored.
Yeah, like it does kind of feel like they just tacked it on at the last minute. They were like, this needs like a little bit more. What can we do? Oh, it's a graveyard set. We'll tack on a little bit of like incidental graveyard hate on ETB. So I like this. I've gone back and forth on this card because I think I was drastically lower on the Decayed tokens than a lot of people were, because I kind of viewed them as bad shocks. The catch is I can't sacrifice a shock to feed an aristocrat. And I think at the end of the day, the fact that this is one of the colors that we do think of as supporting aristocrats, the fact that this can be 3 bodies, does do some stuff. I think if those 2/2s are getting in for damage, you're already like in a game situation where you're probably winning. But like, you've already gone wider, but I don't know. We have what is that thing called? Do you remember
The exploit?
The Necromancer.
Oh, Boneclad Necromancer.
Thank you. Let me pull that one up. All right, so we got Boneclad Necromancer currently, and so same mana value. But yeah, so this is same mana value as the Squirrel Maker, easier to cast and better stats. Yeah, that's fair. Boneclad Necromancer requires exiling something to get the 2/2. It's a real 2/2, but it is also a 3/3. Bolt does still exist. We do still have plenty of ways to deal 3 damage to something. I think Diregraph Horde is more appealing to me than this, but I don't know. It's a real weird one for me. Horde seems better if you have to choose between these two. Yeah. I think that's the thing. Like, Boneclad Necromancer, I don't think it's something that people are like losing their mind about and like really hyped to have in the cube. And in general, people are pretty positive about Diregraph Horde. So for me, that seems like a reasonable place to upgrade. Especially if you're trying to support a mutate. Yeah, I guess technically, yes, you can mutate stuff onto Diregraph Horde.
And that is absolutely the single most important consideration we should have in the cube. I know I brought it up earlier because it is, and I appreciate your support, Mike.
Even better, you can put it on one of the Decayed tokens so that it loses Decayed. Gotta
Is
think with that noggin.
serious question. Is is that actually how that works? My memory of mutate is it gets
Yes.
the abilities of everything.
Oh, right. It does get the abilities and everything. Yeah. Sorry. It's been a minute since Ikoria, and I've been trying to forget it as much as possible. Boneclad has a lower floor with whiffing on the exile. I prefer Horde. Holds the board solo and exile cards no matter what. Gets bodies no matter what. Yeah, like I think the big thing is like Boneclad Necromancer. Boneclad Necromancer is closer to what is it, Stitch Drake, where like it has a gate to be good, whereas Diregraph Horde is always just gonna put a bunch of bodies into play. Now, some of those are not real bodies. Like I do still think that Decayed Zombies not being able to block is huge, but
Oh,
yeah,
it's absolutely giant. The part of what keeps them so balanced in midnight drafts, at least my little bit of experience so far, is if everybody has decayed zombies, everybody has to attack with the zombies and keep their real things. Um, your decayed zombies don't necessarily murder, I don't know, Augur or Bolus that we don't have any more.
yeah.
Omen Speaker. There's my brain. It's it's interesting. I'm wishy washy. I think Calibu puts this well. You've got there's a narrower band of power for Boneclad Necromancer,
Hmm.
and it's just good in that band. Direcraft Horde has a wider band of power. There's going to be more times where the zombie tokens can't do as much, but it's got a higher ceiling. It's more likely to be exciting, and I think it's more likely to be exciting a little bit more often than Boneclad has been.
I was gonna say the other thing, if nothing else, like I have seen almost no one ever speak about Boneclad Necromancer, and I saw a lot of people talk about this. So if nothing else, that it's at least more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on to another one that's like just kind of an easy one. Crawl from the Cellar. I would like to congratulate the Pauper Cube community for considering this outside of the additive distraction text of something about zombies. Because let me just pull it up in the other one. Oh, excuse me. So we were playing Morgue Theft. Morgue Theft is just a worse version of Crawl from the Cellar at this point. Yes, it does have the old border. Yes, it does have the wonderful pixely gravestone up in the upper left-hand corner. Yes, it has a really nice foil. But, yeah, the Crawl from the Cellar is just generally a better card. And there's a non-zero number of zombies in this cube. Like, it is sometimes going to get that value. And yes, we'll talk about Nested Shambler after we're done with cards from Midnight Hunt. Don't worry. Yeah, I think this one's just like an easy. Gotten the zombie payoff a few times. Yeah, like it's just gonna incidentally, like, boost stuff in the decks that want to play Crawl from the Cellar. Like, yeah, I think. But congratulations to the community for being able to overlook additive distraction. I do really appreciate that. Bring back Stitch Drake. No, Stitch Drake has always been like a frustrating card that people complain about because.
Oh,
All right. I'm not going to get too sidetracked about Stitch Drake. All right.
but we've just talked about how we can make a zombie flyer. We can mutate onto zombies, so we don't need Stitch Drake.
All right. Well, that said, this one is one of those nice cases where it's just like, oh, this is just better. We can probably upgrade to it, and we don't need 2 copies of Morgue Theft.
Well,
Next,
not with that attitude.
look, I love a good recursion spell, but there's got to be limits on the realms of good taste. Next up is Eaten Alive. So this is this is Watsu basically calling our bluff on like how good a Bone Splitters needs to be before we'll play it. So this is 1 mana. Either sack a creature, pay 4 more, so 5 mana removal, not the greatest. but you get to exile target creature. The Planeswalker bit has no bearing on us and never will. So, yeah, I I guess this. Let me see. Hold on. What was the MPS on this?
Uh, I
Let's
don't
see.
know. Close the window. Bad
21%.
choice.
Okay, so this is like barely positive here. That said, it is still positive. Um, sorry, just operating Google Sheets off on the edge. Yeah, I'm not thrilled about this, but it does, it does eat things permanently, and there's a decent amount of tokens. This and bone shards are really close for I haven't put in either. Yeah, it's just at the end of the day, I'm just like I don't think that this is quite good enough. Like if it was 4 mana for the alternate mode, like total, I would probably be fine with this. It's just like still a tiny bit off. I really don't like the trinket.
Yeah.
It's whatever. Like it still kills creatures. I don't know. Yeah, like it's for draft. I don't care about this sort of stuff because the question is, what do you take out for it? What do you add in? Disfigure. So a lot of cards more exciting than this. There's a lot of cards more exciting than this, and there's a lot of cards that are just more good than this on the routine basis. Like these types of effects are fine, but I've never been like absolutely thrilled to have one. You can sack a creature or discard a card or pay 3 and a black or mortgage your house. There you go. Yeah, I think at the point because with bone shards there was kind of like some back and forth on like is discard a card, viable as an alternate cost for this. What I really want is I just want one of these at instant speed, like like mess with the numbers a little, make it an instant, let me actually use this in a non-broadcastable way. And like not get punished by like playing a 5 mana removal spell into a blue deck. Like, yeah, I am not thrilled by this card. If there's folks who are really keen on it, feel free. The Discord is open. You can give me the pitch, but yeah, that's where I'm at on this.
Can you sorry? Can you pull up in side by side Obnixlus's cruelty for me?
Sure thing.
I know it's
Nixels
not the
is
most intuitive comparison, but to me, the crux is if you're ever going to do the 1 mana mode, you can't do it on turn one because unlike bone shards, we can't discard and functionally make that free. So it's got to be your opponent has a big enough threat on turn 2 or 3 that we feel we can't answer without something else.
That's an interesting comparison here.
And then the main not the main key, but the key for me has to be what am I exiling, or yeah, what do I care enough about that I'm gonna exile instead of using cast down or tragic slip or tragic fall, or
Yeah.
I'm sure we have another one. Lash of Malice and Disfigure would also kill things that are 2 toughness. So it has to have 3 toughness or more. Realistically, it has to have 4 toughness or more, and we have to care about exiling it before the alternate clause or the exiled costs beat a piece of removal that we have already.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some card. There's got to be some card in here that are in the cube that I can't think of right now where it's critical, but I don't know.
Soul said, I think I voted positive, but I cooled a lot. If I recall correctly, I misread the alt mode as 4 CMC total, not 4 more. Yeah, like the thing that has become very apparent to me in the past like a couple of months is like the difference between 4 CMC and 5 CMC specifically in Pauper Cube is just huge. And 4 mana is a lot, but pretty doable, and 5 mana is like maybe not guaranteed, and I think that's the big thing. Because yeah, I said like if the alt mode was just 3 and a black, like yeah, I'd probably consider this pretty strongly, but 5 mana is just a lot more. All right, let's see what is up next. Oh yeah, one of my favorite like uncomfortable arts that I don't like. Good lord, I really just don't like looking at this thing. Stolen Vitality. Um, just the very, very creepy eye contact. Um, yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I said that I was like excited about how this is designed, but not in love with it. Because it is really cool that this is a combat trick that grants a keyword, but it actually grants a keyword based on whether or not you're attacking or blocking with it. Um, I think this is a neat design. I think it could have just been modal. Like, target creature +3/+1, your choice of trample and first strike. Like, I don't. I think being able to first strike your thing on your own turn would have been cool. Sometimes that does matter, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not in love with this thing. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. I mean, I don't think the art is pretty. I think it's pretty flexible, um, which is interesting. Um, I I couldn't figure out what the red X defensive deck looks like, where I plan on using the first strike ability instead of the trample ability. Um, but I don't know. I I like trample more, I guess. I think I like
Yeah,
tramples more a lot. Is really the key here.
I think for me, how I kind of parse this was like, if I'm on blocks, at least this still does something. Um, Soul Vitality rocks to the Nightmare art makes it better. I do really just not like this art. It looks like the berries and cream boy from that, like, is it a Skills or a Starburst? The candy ad. Americans will understand this. I don't think they played it anywhere else, but
I hope they didn't. Yeah, that's okay. Well, now that's in my head. Thanks.
yeah, I'm a little boy who loves berries and cream and attacking for more damage. Um, yeah, I don't know. This is one where I would love more discussion about, like, critically, to figure out if we want to be on this, because like it does +3/+1 in first strike is a hell of a thing to be able to hit on defense and just kind of casually have your like 3/1 eat something with 6 toughness is pretty big. Um, all right, what's next?
Kind of
Gavin.
an alter of that. But good for you, Boomerang.
Next up is Gavin Silversmith, and I do just want to pull up because this ignited a discussion about a card that is similar to this. So Gavin Silversmith exists. It's very similar to Bazzi's Acolyte. It's a little bit less color intensive, and it does allow it to put the counters on itself, but it's also missing lifelink. And I guess this is one of those things. How do folks feel about counters and where it stands right now? Because I think either of these is a reasonable choice, and the counter itself is huge. It is. Missing out on lifelink is also huge, I think. Being able to use this as a way to stabilize a little bit in the mid game is neat. Um,
Yeah, I'm definitely one of the people who somehow forgot about Bazzi's Acolyte while looking at this. Uh, I'm not in the Pauper Cube camp where at 4 mana your spell should necessarily win you the game. Um, but there's enough low to the ground stuff I hope in the cube that your 4 mana spell should
Actually,
make
do
you not
something.
lose the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should make you not lose the game. And I, I didn't play much M21 for some reason um, in retail draft,
Yep.
but but the more I think about it, between the two, I like the life gain a little bit more. But that's it's theory crafting. I
Yeah.
would like to hear what other people who had actual experience successfully playing the set know or noticed.
Calibu does point out that being able to go to 4 toughness is something that's not nothing. Um, I see Randy Quaid from Kingpin. I don't know if I've seen that. I'm gonna trust you on this. Um,
Uh, I remember Kingpin. I don't remember Randy Quaid being in it, but that's been almost 20 years, if not more than 20 years, since I saw that movie.
I've seen Acolyte Whiff before, but I do like the life. Like that is the thing. Like the floor on Acolyte is kind of actively really miserable. Whereas like Gavin Silversmith, like you're not stoked to have a 3/4 for 4, but for lifelink, but also side post go wider architect. I mean, both of these benefit you going wide. Like if you have a board presence already, both of these are functionally like 2 power creatures that are putting 2 hasty power potentially onto the board in the form of like putting it on stuff that doesn't have summoning sickness. I don't think that Basri's Acolyte like really signals that much harder that you need to go wide. Um, the other thing is like I guess with the counters updates, have folks felt that the counters deck is a go wide deck or a go tall deck, which is the other thing that I think is important because I don't know how wide those decks are routinely going. Since it's been a while since I've been able to draft in person. No card with a higher floor or higher ceiling. Top end 21 common, strong go wide color. That's it. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I just don't want this being something that like I want this being something that indicates that like the counters archetype goes wide or that the go wide archetype is counters if that's not actually something that can happen. Talk about how cards organized by color first and mana value secondarily low to high. But we're doing it in the order we're doing it in. Like I don't think that this distinctly like causes any issues. Um yeah, I don't know. I'm not of the opinion that either of these are like 100% necessary, but they're a thing that we could have a discussion in. For what it's worth, this is one where it's like a large amount of people were just kind of neutral on it. So it doesn't have like a very high negative percentage. It's just it also doesn't have a super high positive percentage. It's just mostly people who are kind of in the middle about it. Um, all right, let's move on. So, here's one. This is one that I was shocked didn't go higher. I'm gonna be honest. I like Mounted Dread Knight. It's just a big dumb idiot. Um, it's real easy for this to be a 5 mana 6 power thing that beats in. I've played this in limited. It feels fine to me. I don't know. I'd be fine having another like 5 drop in red for like the times where you actually hit 5 mana in a like monsters style thing.
Uh, I feel like I had strong feelings about this, but those strong feelings were this confuses me a lot. Um, I know that in the past we had I can't remember we had some sort of giant or something. In the
Thundering
five and
Giant
six
is
drop.
probably the one you're thinking of. The like the 5 mana 3/3 haster from ages ago.
Yeah, so we're looking at more resilient and more interesting threats, I think, um, with Dread Knight. Um, I don't know. Trample is just it's very interesting to me how good I think Trample is on red cards. Like
Yeah.
I, I don't know if it's actually as good as I think it is, but in our format where where somebody might have something that stabilizes, like Mazri's Acolyte. Um, having that extra little bit of trample gives your red deck a chance to finish the game. Um, and I think we've got Quickfoot Giant. That can't be the name of it.
Uh, y-
Quickfoot something.
the one that cycles for an effect.
Yeah, I think that's currently our most expensive red spell. Um,
It's
and
that and the what is it called? The 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 bull people.
Flurry of Horns,
Thank you.
Minotaurs.
Yes, thank you. Flurry of Horns. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Chaves in
So
the Chaves in the
it's an
chat
interesting
also
idea.
pointed out. Oh, sorry. Let's do. There we go. Boarding party. So boarding party is 6 mana. 6 mana is a lot more than 5. We've already talked earlier about the 4 to 5 being a big thing, and my opinions on Cascade, especially in ramp decks, are like mixed. Um, Especially for something that still at the end of the day dies to bolt. Um, that said, uh, I do see the comparison here. Like they're both big idiots to top off a red curve for like a red green deck. I think the only thing that I like really have against Mounted Dread Knight is it kind of is one of those fake gold cards where like this really is kind of something you want green ramp to back up. But I'm also okay with that since we don't have a ton of stuff in red besides like the burn and some of the gold cards that feed into that. I don't know. I could honestly go either way with this personally.
I think that's very fair. It's the card includes a lot of interesting features. It's one where I spent more time, I think, constructing scenarios where it's probably good uh, than scenarios where it's probably bad. But I wasn't super excited about what I assume the average scenario is, where
Mm-hmm.
because we still have a large amount of removal, you haven't done damage to your opponent. You've just created a good sized trample body instead of a giant terrifying trample body,
Yeah,
while also dealing damage to your opponent.
yeah, I can kind of hear that. All right, let's move on to tapping at the window. It's another strategic planning. This one though only gets creatures. Um, how does it compare to Vilden Pack Outcast? Hold on, let's back up for a second here. I guess we're on a bit of a delay here. Pack out. I don't remember this one exactly. This. Oh, right. Right. This is the weird transformy one where it's the front half is a 4/4
Oh,
trample. You can sink 7 mana into it. Good lord. Uh, Um, so yeah, you can do it's got the flowstone ability, and you can flip it for 7 mana, and you just get a thing that fire breathes. God, 5/7, Jesus Christ, what a body, like just never getting burned out. Um, I kind of I'd kind of just prefer to play the Dread Knight. I don't know. It just seems like it's the easier option of like, haha, I paid 5 mana, now I have a big dumb idiot. Like,
yeah. Never accidentally putting it in bolt range while you try to burn out your opponent seems good. Like never being able to.
yeah, Dread Knight's just like easy, and sometimes easy good. But yeah, I don't know. This is one that's gonna. I feel like we're gonna have opinions on this one when we're actually discussing the final update. Um, but yeah, let's continue on to tapping at the window. So this is a strategic planning that only gets creatures, but you can get to flash it back for 3 mana. The green faithless looting. I ask, incredibly sarcastically. I mean, we've tried a lot of green pseudo cantrips over the past year or so, with a lot of them kind of getting replaced by one another. I don't know. How do folks feel about this? I know it's like not an exciting card, but I just figure. Um,
Can you pull up Grapple with the Past, which is what I assume we would potentially change this with?
Possibly. I know there's an.
And
I don't remember the like five we have in there because they do kind of change pretty quickly.
yeah,
Grapple, yeah, you put three cards from your library into your graveyard, and then you can get a creature or land back. Also at instant speed.
oh, that's right, Grapple's instant. Yeah,
Gra- Grapple is so much sillier.
yeah. Pretend that I didn't recommend changing it then.
Hold
Uh,
on, let me pull up the cube in another window, and I can. So we have stuff like Adventure Awaits, which I think is probably like closer to the stuff that.
5. Yeah, look at top 5. If you whiff, draw a
Oh
card anyway.
right, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I want to like tapping at the window because I do love me a strategic planning, and I do love a flashback draw spell, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not in love with this thing, and that kind of bore out. Like it's a very flat like distribution. It's for reference, and I've got the thing up. So it's like 26 positive, 29 neutral, 20 negative. So it's just in that like very just blah kind of feedback overall from the community. Um, but yeah, let's go. This is our last one from Midnight Haunt, unless there's or Midnight Hunt, excuse me, unless there's stuff people are desperate to hear opinions on. Um, so this is Geistwave, and this one is just barely positive. It is a better version of what is that? Disperse. This seems to be where we've landed for like 2 mana as a bounce spell, return non-land permanent, some minor upside. Um, this one is literally just like 2 votes positive, so like 2 votes above the threshold positive. Um, yeah, it exists. I'm not thrilled by it.
Oh no, I've misremembered Just the Wind. I thought there was another cantrip that also had a conditional card draw. Um, Dicewave was interesting in my pre-release. Um, I don't know. There's some potential for additive distraction and for misuse with newer players who are desperate to draw that card instead of removing a 5/4 with trample that's
Blinking in,
attacking them.
Blinking
But
into the Royal are just better, in my opinion. Someone points out, yes, they are. They're just much better Magic cards. Though I will say, I've used both of those on my own Magic cards as well, just to like rebuy ETBs and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. This one was one that just made it in barely. All right. Does anyone else have any Midnight Hunt stuff that they want discussed real quickly, or are we good to move on to requests from the community that were put in the Discord?
should probably pull up that.
Wait,
Or should we look at Lambholt Harrier?
where's the thread? Why can I not see the thread?
You put it in feedback, maybe?
No. View thread. Okay. I can pop it open. I'm going to unarchive it so it's a little bit more accessible. This discussion both the opinion on Art and Elementalist. Positive. I was kind of shocked when it came up in discussion as highly as it did, but it's good. It's just a fine Magic card. Lambholt Harrier. Let me.
Yeah, I apparently glanced over it as well. It's one of the red bears with upside now that we get.
4 mana
You
is a
know, the ones we've
lot.
always gotten.
Yeah, right. 4 mana is a lot for target creature can't block this turn. Jeez, that is a tall ask as far as these types of cards go. I'm not sold on this. I don't. Did we even pull this one? Maybe the Eccentric Farmer takes a look. Sure, we'll get to that after this. Lambholt Harrier. Did we even pull this thing? Because I don't think there was a huge. None. No filter. Yeah, we did not even pull this thing because there was not enough folks who were excited about it. Yeah, I mean, I can see this definitely like working in limited. It's just 4 mana is so much. Excuse me if anyone can hear my dog barking in the background. I'm sure a paper fell on the floor and he's losing his mind now.
Or there's a squirrel somewhere in the world.
Thankfully, I live far enough in the city that don't tend to get too many squirrels. Though he's had his encounters. Centric Farmer, yeah. This is the one that is kind of a side grade to the mole, right?
Oh yeah, it's Mill 3. While you're pulling that up, I will say my piece on Harrier. I still like the idea of red bears not having downsides, but we recently had things like Chandra's Mage Mutt and something else. Basically, things that can deal damage without necessarily having to go through combat or paying 4 mana.
Yeah. It's just the 4 mana bit of it that has me sketched out a little bit. Like, that's a lot. Eccentric Farmer is... Yeah, so this is the mill, return a land card. So I think that this one is not on the radar just because we don't explicitly support self-mill. And there was discussion ages ago about this. And general consensus was folks were not high on it, but... It's definitely the kind of thing that, like, it's the kind of thing that, like, if we were bigger on self-mill, like, if this was a Mana More and it was a Gravedigger, maybe, but, yeah, this is, again, just, like, one of those ones where I don't think the card's bad, I just don't think it's, like, a great fit for where the cube is right now. Like, if you do support, like, green-black or green-X mill, or self-mill, rather, like, yeah, this is fine. Also, I really don't like the art on Eccentric Farmer. I just realized that's a very big centipede. Boy, howdy. That's too many legs. Yeah.
It's fair analysis. It's, yeah, the thing that I liked about Excavation Mole when we considered it was, to my surprise, there had not been anything else at common that was 3/3 trample for 3 mana. So the self-mill part was like it's there, but the body is really what achieves anything. You basically really have to be. Actually, I don't even know. I don't know how often you have to hit a land to feel like you've gotten extra value from the Eccentric Farmer.
I think you have to be in a deck that's okay with just milling 3.
Yeah.
Like, I think you just have to be. Otherwise, like, on average, you probably do hit one. Or screw with Evolving Wilds and Friends. But, like, I don't know. Playing a 3 mana 2/3 and regrowing a land is, like, fine. I don't think it's amazing. Talking about Shadow Beast sighting, I don't know if it was a winner, but I kind of want to hear y'all's take on it. I think Shadow Beast sighting is not amazing. The main thing here is it's just a bit slow. I think this is one of those things where you tweak the numbers on this a little bit. Like, 4 mana 4/4 that is universally weak to bounce is not something I'm stoked on. And while it does have a flashback mode where it draws a 7 mana 4/4 is nice, I'm not. Yeah, it's Calibu. Yeah, you're right. Like the bounce is just at the end of the day the thing that is killing this for me. Like the fact that this does just like not great stuff. Also, like especially compared to like we already have what is it?
Please say Elephant Ambush, the card that we cut because
Nope.
nobody actually used the flashback.
Oh,
Flashback.
right. Although that one was even instant speed. Let me pull
Yeah.
up the other one. So we've got Voracious Typhon right now, which is also a 4/4 for 4. Not amazing. But you can just keep recasting this thing for 7 mana, and it comes back as a 7/7. And that's like the big thing. Like Shadow Beast Sighting, like, I don't know what green deck recurs Shadow Beast Sighting super well, but like, Typhon at least comes back bigger. Whereas Shadow Beast Sighting is always just a bounceable 4/4. And bouncing Typhon, sure, like you get rid of the 7/7, but they just cast it again and again if you keep bouncing it. But yeah. All right, cool. In that case, let's move on to older stuff. Yeah, I don't think Shadow Beast Sighting is just an out and out bad card. I just think like we live in a world now where there's slightly better options in the same sort of mold. Um, All right, let's talk about the card that I've heard the name of so many times because we completely forgot about it when we did the Modern Horizons 2 update. Yeah, this was not like a decision we made. It was just the two of us were looking at a lot of cards and completely forgot Nested Shambler. The card's good. It's going in. Elephant Ambush is the only. Let's go. Yeah. Like, again, my apologies. Nested Shambler should have gone in the cube. It didn't. That's my bad. This thing is good. Um, yeah. Is there anything else you want to say, Fizzled? I know we covered this in the other one.
I mean, my whole thing about Shambler right now is it's apparently part of the insanely cheap Pauper constructed mono black zombies deck.
Oh, is it? Huh.
Just yeah, the carrion feeder and some other stuff. You and Adrian basically introduced me to the concept of that deck. God, 4 years ago now, maybe. And yeah, I I acquired some for that reason.
Yeah. Like,
That's my whole story.
this is a thing where, like, bare minimum, it's a 1/1 that dies into another 1/1. If you can get. We will soul set. Hold on there. Supernatural stamina should go in. What the? Oh, that's one of the rebuy things.
Yeah, it's one
Um,
of the not raised dead,
yeah, the
undying
undying
evils.
evil. Yeah, I let's put a pin in that one. The rebuy things. Um, the rebuy things are another discussion altogether. Let's continue on. Caliboo's in chat did also suggest Underworld Ragehound. This is one that we had talked about when Theros came out, and general community consensus on it was like lukewarm. Um, it is a very good dog. I won't deny it that. But yeah, I was pretty high on this just because like the escaping it as a 4/4 or a 4/2. Sorry, I can read. Escaping it as a 4/2, like that's a fairly real body that like you do have to chump. You can't just chump block with 1/1s forever. Um, yeah, I I think this is a reasonable card. We'll probably look at it in context because it has been a while, and I do like it. It's fantastic. My experience. Yeah, like I think community was lukewarm on it, but like this thing is just like mono red can run out of gas. This just means that as long as things keep going into the bin, you can keep rebuying a 4/2 and just going, haha, dog good, dog big, dog attack. Yeah, like,
That's right. That's what we did. We also had to come back for Rimrock Night.
yes.
So it might have my I guess my memory is maybe we were worried about too many 3/1s for two going in at the same time.
All right.
So I do recall having the conversation. There we go.
What else do we got? So next up, Deathblade Elite. This is a classic, an absolute classic. Oh
Looking
man.
at some Ravnica cards.
No, 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 no. This is
No, oh,
Legions.
that's Onslaught. Onslaught and
Yeah.
Legions.
Yeah, this is an old Magic card. So yeah, this is a classic. It just kind of reads that the biggest thing your opponent controls can't block every turn if you're willing to just turn this sideways. It also blocks forever. Just like sits there and fogs one creature a turn as long as it doesn't have flying. Yeah, yeah, you're chump blocking this with like the biggest thing you have. Yeah, my only concern here is my only concern here is I don't want to be on the receiving end of complaints when the foils of this spike, but that's like a very me kind of thing. It's an assassin with something like Hyena Umbra? Huh. Huh. Giving this thing first strike is really interesting, actually. Huh. That is bizarre. I had never thought about that. Like, for folks maybe not as cute in here, like if you give this thing first strike somehow, you can swing in, and after first strike damage, assuming the other thing doesn't have first strike, you activate the ability, and you get to just maybe eat their thing. That's kind of neat. I had never thought about this as like, in combination with something else becoming like a really janky pinger. Um, Kalibu, let's get through the list of stuff that we've got here already from the pre-request stuff. I want to make sure that we can take care of all that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what we'd be trimming for Deathblade Elite, but yeah, I think this is a reasonable thing for us to have a discussion about. I do also just have like fond memories of this card from back in the day. Yeah. Oh, childhood. All right. What else we got? Edge of Autumn. Yeah, this is one that we talked about. This one's finally like also relatively easy to get your hands on because it got a reprint. Blah blah blah. So yeah, this is if you have 4 or fewer lands, it's just a rampant growth. Um, but you can cycle it by sacking a land. Yeah, I could see this just going in over rampant growth just because we don't have that much top end. Like, or maybe not over rampant growth. Like, maybe unfortunately it's time to cut Nature's Lore just because, like, that has slowly crept up in price over the past, like, year or so. Which, God, I wish it would stop. I really just wish MTG Finance would stop. Not that I think someone is targeting this. It's just like people are finally catching on that these are good Magic cards and buying them up. But um, yeah, it's not a dead draw exactly. Like if you draw this late and you're on 7 lands or something, this at least isn't like, oh, guess I'm gonna do my rampant growth again. Um, yeah, I'm I'm open to this. We'll probably have a talk about this and some of the other ramp spells and see where we fall on it. But yeah, Edge of Autumn still a good Magic card, and now you can probably get foils for not $1 billion. What else we got? Ooh, here's a fun one. Flourishing Strike. I think we talked about this one when we did MH2. 2 mana, 5 damage to a creature with flying, or a creature gets plus 3 every turn, and then it has some distraction text that you'll occasionally care about in the form of an Entwine cost. I think it's a fine Magic card. I just think we didn't feel it was necessary at the end of the day. Let me see. What do we have in green as far as similar things? I mean, I guess we could. This could probably go in over one of the fight spells, if we're being honest. Yeah. It's a modal card. Modal card's good.
Or, I mean, what's the answer? No, Rancure is too good. Um,
We still have the weird one that like what is it? Titanic whatever Titanic Brawl, where it's a
oh
fight,
yeah,
but
it's
it's an
legendary, which doesn't matter.
no.
No.
This is the plus one counters. It makes it cheaper.
Yeah.
Run this over giant growth like even over giant growth seems seems a bit bullish. I'm gonna level, but I see the appeal. I do get it.
Uh, huh. I guess we have clear shot.
That is kind of the
I don't know.
general response to clear shot. I guess we have this. Um,
Like, I clearly have one sleeved in my cube. I
yeah,
just
but it's definitely one of those cards where you're just like, oh yeah, we do have that in the cube. All right, let's scoot on. Zertos Wine. I do love me some Blood Rush. A 5 mana 5/4 is also just like a lot of pork on the table, if you'll pardon the boar pig pun here, but yeah, that's a lot of meat to be able to throw at people. And Blood Rush is a cool ability that I wish they figured out a way to word so that it was just kind of something they could toss in there. I don't know.
well, now we can have a 5/4 or 6/5 vampire with trample, vampire knight with trample, and blood rush it. Basically, that just ends the game.
It does. There's the question of like this versus what is it, Frenzied Arinx, which it's also a modal, which puts it over Colossal Might for me. Colossal Might is really big though. Like I hear where you're coming from on this. But oh wow. I my tab I had open with the cube list was old enough that it was from before the last update. Hold on, let me refresh that one real quick here. Make sure I'm actually looking at cards currently in the cube. There we go. Honestly, Branching Bolt is one of those ones where I know like constantly Branching Bolt is like just kind of fine. Um,
It serves a function. It's not exciting.
yeah, like you're never thrilled by it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Zertos Wine's an interesting one. We'll consider that. What else we got in this thread? Someone asked about Finned Horn Elves. Um, ah, hold on. Let me. I'm taking a moment to pull this up because it's trying to show me fake art for this magic card that isn't like the real art for it. It isn't these horrible little winter freaks. Um, yeah. We a while ago added back in the 1 mana dorks. Finned Horn Elves was not among them. I think the major thing at the time was that it is upsettingly more expensive than other 1 mana options. That said, I I don't know if people want like one more dork. This is one of those like fine tuning things where I'm like, I'm not opposed to it, but this is the first I've heard someone be like, I want another 1 mana dork.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I, they're all interchangeable, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
As long as we're not looking at Arbor Elf, uh, it's it's fine. Uh, oh, Caliboo. Caliboo says, I run Llanowar Elves, Elvis Mystic, and Arbor Elf with Sprawl and Wild Growth to back it up. Uh, right after I said, as long as we're not talking Arbor Elf. Um,
yeah. Our Arbor Elf has other play patterns. I think is the important
yeah,
thing. Like if we're just talking like 1 mana dorks that tap for 1. Avacyn's Pilgrim, how often does Green Pip really matter? You can still run Pilgrim in a non-Celestia deck. Yes, Avacyn's Pilgrim is 100% a green dork. You can suit up Pilgrim Bonds of Faith. All right, we're getting into sketchy upsides here. Yeah, I don't know if I'll probably toss together a poll about 1 mana dorks if we want like one more for, you know,
Yeah.
reasons. Let me actually.
I,
I'm just actually gonna.
I don't think I've drafted green ramp recently in the cube, so I'm not even sure what we're accelerating to, whether I need another one. Or I mean, for me, even just Owlbear's fine if you're on turn 3. That's that's a sequence of cards.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll put together a poll for some of the stuff that I would prefer a wider. Dare to, but the merits of ramp out. There was. But when it comes to like 1 mana dorks, I'd rather just put together a poll and ask people directly, like, do you want another 1 mana dork in the cube? Yes, no. Let's move on. We got Ghostly Flicker. Someone asked about it. I have looked. I don't think there's a reason we can't be on Ghostly Flicker. None of the ETB triggers on. So for reference, for folks who might be new around here, Displace has been in the cube for quite some time. Just gonna. There we go. Displace has been in the cube for a while. The difference here is Ghostly Flicker can hit artifacts, creatures, or lands. Yeah. I want to be able to flicker my serrated arrows. So, for reference, things that we get extra value out of. Prophetic Prism will draw you another card. You can reset your serrated arrows. You can gain another life off Pristine Talisman. What else? That's it for artifacts. When it comes to lands, you can reset your Shimmerdrift Veil and the Thriving Lands, and technically, if you want to get real cheeky, you can flicker a desert to eat a 2 toughness creature. I think we have gotten to the point where I'm fine with Ghostly Flicker. Someone brought it up. I just there's such an incredibly small. Oh, there's one more that we missed. Witching Well. You can get. Oh, actually, a couple. We also added Dueling Rapier.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's a
so
bunch.
There's...
I'm just looking for the new ones. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You flicker a basic land to make it pseudo 2 mana. Yes. But you know what? If that's where we're at here, I'm kind of okay with it. Like, this is not breaking anything that wasn't. It's making it slightly better. It is really a question. You can flicker your Mystic Sanctuary. Yeah. That's a synergy we're interested in putting in a cube for a fun and fair time. Yeah. I think, like, just in general, like, I'm fine with one or both of these. We'll probably get a poll going. Displays / Ghostly Flicker. One, the other, or both. From Ghostly or Displays. Yeah, I think at this point it literally just comes down to, like, does the general consensus say, I want both, I want one, I want the other. That's all I care about. Because I have no strong stake in any of those positions. Alright, let's swap back to single card. Let's pull up, oh, yeah. There was, You Hear Something on Watch, which we had talked about pretty positively. This one didn't make it in just because we already had included a good chunk of stuff, and we didn't want to mess with things too much all at once. It's still a fine card. It's still something that is at least on my radar. I didn't even swap over so that people can see the dang thing. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah.
And this is why Twitch pays us the big bucks.
Twitch does not pay us anything. I do want to make that a clear distinction here. No one has ever paid me for anything to do with this cube. Yeah. This is, you hear something on watch. We talked about it. We were positive about it. It didn't get in because we didn't want to change too much all at once. Maybe. That's the general answer I can give folks.
Yeah, it's a neat modal spell, and I don't know. It has the white in standard sets problem where this card is probably fine, and it feels like it's probably exactly as fine as a lot of other cards, and not necessarily incredible.
Yeah, I think that with this one, there's also just the fact that it does only remove attackers. Like, this doesn't even like have the standard like white attacking or blocking clause or the tapped creature. Like, it's just during combat. But yeah, moving on. Let's talk about Einok Bondkin. And in general, counters. How do people feel about them? Are people happy with the Selesnya counters deck? How are folks feeling? Just doing a check-in on everyone. For reference, this is one that we have had our eyes on. And end of the day, it is a piker that, has other text on it, so it's probably fine. Love counters, wish this came with a counter. Sure, yeah. Like, if this just came with a counter, if this was a 1-0 that ETB'd with a counter on it, that'd be cool. I'm also just kind of fine with this thing as, like, making combat absolute living hell. Want to like it, but it feels slightly off to me. Chase, when you tried it, did you also have the any of the Trample Lords? I'm just curious about that. First Strike Lord much better than the Trample Lords.
Missing payoffs, pace. Sorry, somebody is saying green-white feels like it's missing payoffs, but it can keep pace as well as go wide did, which is, I'm going to call that a generally positive statement.
Yeah,
so
I think like I'm fine with like testing this out at least. Like, First Strike good. Turns out that all of those evergreen keywords pretty much are good.
Except for fear. Fear was not
Except
good.
For fear, yes.
Rents for a while before we had true synergy. It's pretty good. It's just an aggressive creature that upgrades in mid-game.
That's kind of the thing that appeals the most to me about this thing is it's just a piker. Like, that's fine. It also has other text on it, which is pretty rad. Alright, yeah. Einok Bondkin, that's an easy one. We can slot it in. We can see how it does. See how folks are with it in 6 months. All that good stuff. I expect positive. The counters on them, it felt like you drew the counter cards or the lords, and then creatures were removed or underpowered to the opponent's board. Okay. Interesting. Alright, well, this will probably go in. We'll probably have a discussion. Next, I'm going to pull up two things here. So I'm going to pull up you over here. So we're going to hop over. So these two are kind of related to one another. So, and I since I'm autofilling both of these, we clearly have talked about them in the past, but Pollenbright Druid and Bloomhulk, both of these can provide an ETB proliferate trigger. One of them is also a 2-mana 1/1, and the other one is a 4-mana 4/4. We've talked about these in the past. I think I would like some more actual like user testing on specifically, like I just want to know like the number of like counters they've got out there on turn 4 as a rough estimate, to see if Bloom Hulk is actually coming with more than one counter somewhere on the board. I When we last talked about this, I did mention like I do like Bloom Hulk just as haha big brick, and also sometimes haha everything else bigger as well. Pollen Bread is bear and limited role player. It is. It's also just a bear at the end of the day. Like it does get some of the like interesting synergy. No, we're not playing Charmed Stray. We're not playing 4 copies of Charmed Stray fizzled.
That wasn't me being a monster. That was me trying to remember the text.
Okay. Yeah. It does not put a counter on itself. It puts it on all the other copies. Yeah. I think this is another one where it's like, hey, I should put something out. Gonna do a quiz on proliferate. Do we want it?
Yeah, and I don't know. I played with both of these, I think, during war. Bloom Hulk mattered more with all of the planeswalkers. Pollen Bread, Druid. Often you were okay playing it on turn 2 as just a bear.
Mm-hmm.
And,
and
bears
later,
with upside are
game
absolutely
it buffed
fine.
stuff.
Yeah.
That was also a weird set, though, because there were a lot of walkers running around, and Proliferate got funky there.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got in here. You Come to a River. We had talked about that one in the last update. Or the last Q&A, I should say. Let's... someone has suggested... How do I spell Basilica? Basilica Screecher? Let me swap over there. This is a weird one. I don't know. I'm not in love with it. I do appreciate like Extort being generically good. My issue is that I think this only really goes in slow black decks, and I would the reason Syndicate Tithe is in the cube, and the reason we've talked about what is its sibling, the multicolored one.
Oh gosh.
Someone in the chat knows. The dang vampire. Tithe Drinker. I do like it better than Tithe Drinker. Often Tithe Drinker feels like an enchantment. Yeah, I can see that. Oh yeah, we also have Kingpin's Pet currently in. That is correct. Yeah, Kingpin's Pet is 1 more mana for an additional power up front. Tithe Drinker not in though. Yeah. Do people want a ton more Extort? I don't know. If it is, this is the first time like really hearing folks being like, yes, more Extort in like large numbers, but
I know incidentally there was some relatively recent discussion about it implying what happens in your black-white tempo / control decks. But I don't know if it...
Black-white interactive mid-range.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these are all like kind of the spells where it's like, well, this can be a win con. Like, I don't need to attack if I can just extort them to death over the course of like 5 turns. Yeah, I don't know. This is one of those cards where like I would rather be on some of the other extort options before this, just because 1/2 is kind of funky, and I don't think you're getting full value out of that body. But that might just be me personally. What else do we have in the big channel discussion? Blood. I know what this one is. God, too many. So, Bloodlust Insider. And there's another one of these.
Goblin Instigator or something? No.
Goblin Motivator.
Motivator.
You're close,
too many
though.
jobs.
Yeah, too many jobs. Yeah, these are both the same thing with different subtypes. They're both 1/1s for 1. You can tap and give something haste. I've run these in other cubes. They're generally pretty solid role players. There's a bear with the exact same text, Axe Guard Cavalry. Sure, I'll pull that one up. Kind of love the art on that. That's nice. Better art on Motivator, no mutate though. Good lord. Mutate and Bonds of Faith, the two eternally cursed cards that care about human as a creature type. Good lord. Yeah. I'm fine with like slotting in one of the 1-drops. I'm a little bit less stoked about it on like a bear. Just because hitting one of these turn 1 and then just everything has haste until they waste removal on the 1/1. Yeah. Like just sort of sitting there and like being like, all right, everything I cast from here on out is gonna just be swinging at you. And I think the earlier you can get that online, the better. Like being able to have your 1-drop give your 2-drop haste, I feel is better than having your 2-drop give your 3-drop haste. And the big sort of appeal of these cards like Bloodlust Insider is the fact that like they are miserable to target with removal, but you might have to. And so either they're making future threats better, or your opponent gets rid of this thing and uses decent removal, or like at least middling removal to get rid of it. Yeah, I'm pretty positive on these things. As I said, I've used them in other cubes in the past, and I have always been happy when they have shown up for aggro decks. They do some stuff. Hold on, Arcbound.
Bloodlust eats the removal that would go with the next bigger thing. That's a win. Yep, gonna easily agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like you either remove this thing, or you remove the thing it was going to give haste, and neither of those decisions are fun. Because if you ignore it, it just keeps giving stuff haste. Let me. Someone asked about Arcbound Tracker. This is one that we had talked about during the review for MH2. I was kind of bullish on it. We didn't wind up putting it in just, again, out of concern of not swapping in 40 plus cards and having a very, very different experience out of nowhere. I still like this a lot. I still think it's really easy for this to get online and start getting bigger. Yeah, I am unsurprised at this getting big. Although I am kind of shocked that you had enough time to get it up to an 8/8 before killing your opponent. That's kind of... I guess if they've got a ton of tokens, they can just kind of sit there and double chump it. But like, I feel like by the time this is an 8/8, they should be dead already.
Yeah, the menace combined with growing feels like it should just end the game.
Surprised when it didn't make it. Yeah, again, it's just like AFR and more importantly, Modern Horizons 2 had a lot of stuff in it. But yeah, there's some 3-drops we could maybe talk about considering swapping for this big electric dog. And as I've said, I do love the fact that, like, if this is your first spell and you have another mana to do something, you can just immediately grow it. I do really like that. Kyrian Dryad, it ain't, but, you know, that's for sure about it, but it's playing well in the spell thing. So the important thing for me is the fact that you don't have to cast a specific type of spell, like just hitting 2 creatures or a creature and an instant sorcery does grow this thing. And the modular is like flavor text that will sometimes matter, but yeah, I don't know. I like the thing. What else we got? Spell Eater. What the hell is this one? Oh, this thing. Spell Eater Wolverine. So this is a 3-mana 3/2 as long as you have 3 or more instants and sorceries in your graveyard. It's got double strike. Yeah, I see the appeal. I would need to do numbers on how likely. Like, obviously, if you build around this, and it's not super hard to build around playing instants and sorceries. I'm surprised I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess, like, this, like, if the third spell that turns this on is a pump spell, like if you brute force this or something, that is a whole hell of a lot of damage out of nowhere.
Oh man! Or if the third spell is your berries and cream as you're attacking,
There you go.
then it's really a 6/3 double strike trample.
Good lord.
And you get to think about the berries and cream commercial.
There you go. Value all around. Yeah, I could definitely see this being reasonable. There's another one that looks great in foil. Yeah, I can imagine. I remember, at least in the U.S., ones that I got, the Ikoria foils, all had like a really nice like metallic kind of vibe to them. So I could see all this lightning looking real nice. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable one. Volatile clause. Oh god, this is the one that it has that
This
weird
is the
wording.
changeling pump thing.
Yeah.
Okay, but doesn't that ruin our opportunities for mutating afterwards,
I was gonna
guys?
say the only thing I can see on this card is it's got a line of text that just causes people to like talk about minor rules interactions in the Discord all day. Which, you know, I would prefer to
Keeps it
put in
lively.
anything without the additive distraction text about the creature types, if I'm being completely honest.
Didn't we have the
It helps
oh
survive the
no,
red and
I've
black
forgotten the name.
pyroclasms. That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Not where my brain goes, but my brain also forgets that the pyroclasms are
Is this?
conditional.
Huh. I did not realize that this was first in Modern Horizons. I would have. There's another version of this, right? That like isn't as good.
Uh, it's 2 mana, and I can't think of the name.
I think I remember it. Okay. Yup. 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 I was thinking Blades of Velasvel, which actually even kind of has similar art with 2 figures doing attacky stuff with like glowy blue stuff, blue purple stuff all over. This is what I was thinking. Okay, yeah, this is worse, but yeah, I could see that. I think we're at the point where I'm fine with Trumpet Blast leaving for something that's just better. What else we got? Wicker Bow Elder. This is one we talked
Oh,
about
it's
in the
our built-in
past.
disenchant. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's favorite 5 mana disenchant. So this was one that we had talked about. We currently have Conclave Naturalist in, which is also a 5 mana disenchant, but is also always a 4/4. That was pretty much the reasoning here. Is just always 4/4 versus 3/3 that sits around and just disincentivizes people playing stuff. I think it's a push. I wouldn't fault people for swapping the two in their own. Incidental non-bow with +1 counters. Sure. Yeah. These things happen. Not everything's going to work perfectly. You could also just not put a counter on it. That's also like a pretty reasonable option here. You actually have to go out of your way to like non-bow this thing. Yeah. This is one where like having those two swap between on a per person basis with whichever they prefer is, I think, very reasonable. You hear something, watch Edge of Autumn. Okay, we already covered those. Test of Faith. Oh boy.
Prevent 3 damage and
That used
up
to
to
be
3
in.
damage and counters.
Yeah. This used to be in the cube. It got pulled because it was just fine. Um, it does put counters on stuff, which, might make it worth revisiting, but yeah. Not a huge priority in my book. Did this person just go through and like list a bunch of cards that used to be? Oh, I can type. Was Makeshift Mauler not in the cube at one point?
Is that the 4/5 with the
Yeah.
exile card? I don't think that one was in. I think we had Stitch, Drake, and something Mangler.
Hmm. Um.
Stitch Mangler? No, we didn't have Stitch Mangler.
I don't remember. I wanted to say that this was in at one point, but I could be completely losing my mind here. I have always been kind of lukewarm on these, especially in blue, since and yes, we will get to the topic of being able to discard cards to fuel this. But hold your horses, folks. I get that zombie big, but not not a super huge priority since the with blue I'd rather just play big things that don't have riders that cost a little bit more since it is an interactive color that can, figure out stuff to make sure that it can get to higher mana values, but yeah.
Also, yes, this was in Until War.
Really?
Yeah, replaced by Aven Eternal.
Huh. Well, would you look at that? Same person also brings up Undercity Scavenger. This is a format, so it's a. Is this Hill Giant or Grey Ogre? I can never remember. It's a 4 mana 3/3.
Hill Giant is 4 mana. Grey Ogre is 3 mana.
Thank you. So it's a Hill Giant, but as it ETBs, you may sack another creature. If you do 2 +1/+1 counters on it and then scry 2. I think I've played this in another cube, and I was deeply medium on it. It was fine, but it was 4 mana is high enough on the curve that it rarely doesn't have. You need to do the ETB or it's bad. Yes, that's kind of the catch. Like, this is one where it's not like, oh, the ETB is a cool thing if you can do it, but if not, it's still blah blah blah. Like, this is just not a good Magic card unless you eat something with it. And as folks know, for me, I love my floor to be reasonable and then the upside to be actually good. And in this case, the floor is a bad Magic card. Um, all right, what else? The same person. I think black is too typed. Yeah, it's just not one of those things where it's exciting enough to make the change and test it. Um, Goblin Wizardry is another one. Two 1/1 red Goblin Wizards with prowess for 4 mana. I think this card's fine. I think, however, it's it's just fine at the end of the day. I think is the issue with it. Like, this is not something that mono red is super stoked on. It's not something that like red white is super stoked on. Um, it's really red blue. Like, this is kind of one of those weird hybrid gold cards. But yeah, I mean, it's a fine Magic card. If people want to run it, I'm not gonna fault them, but I just don't think it's a great fit for the baseline cube, at the moment at least. Now, if we slap in some Phyrexian mana spells,
Uh, Wizardry, I have a friend who has a goblin themed cube, and Wizardry is good there because instant speed goblins are good in that cube.
yeah,
But four mana is sizable when we've aggressively cut so much of the other spells
yeah.
in the curve. Um, you're probably in top deck mode or close to it.
Earthbrawn is a card that was brought up that I've never seen before in my life. So it's a 2 mana giant growth, but you can also pay 2 mana, pitch it, and put a counter on something. It also has sweet Kev Walker art, just for the value here. I see where this is coming from. Like, being able to lean into counter synergies, but also just having a not garbage combat trick for like decks that don't care about the counter as much as they do about doing 3 damage right now. But I think it's good enough at having an uncounterable plus 1/+1 counter suite. Yeah, like, it is nice that this is just an activated ability. I just want to see like the 2021 version of this card is really the thing at the end of the day.
We did. It was an MH2. It's white, and I've forgotten the name of it.
Oh God, you're right. The weird one. That's the one that's the one that was like a multi
You had
disenchant
four
thing.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
break ties. Choose one. Destroy target artifact. Destroy target enchantment. Exile target card from graveyard, or reinforce one for
No,
one
no.
white. Sorry, just white.
I just want this Unga Bunga modal combat trick. Like, I want to see the version of this that's like, got one of these numbers changed. I don't care which one, but one of these numbers on this card changes. It does 4 things is 2021 magic. Yeah, like, I just want Unga Bunga, the big thing. Gets a trample counter. Ooh, reinforce with a trample counter would be pretty sweet. All right, what else we got? Oh man, for all my Kamigawa fans, Sheenan of Life's Roar. Um, yeah, this is a really cool thing that got a decent amount of play in Constructed Pauper back in the day. I don't know if they're still running it in Stompy, because I stopped paying attention to Constructed Pauper years ago. But
I haven't seen it in any lists that I've looked at,
all
but
right,
I haven't seen very much Stompy.
yeah, like, this is a reasonable combat trick that just says, like, it's a lure that you can't counter, and it really is great for just haha, everything everything gets in. Um, th- this is something where if if enough people in a time period complain about getting into board stalls and green decks, I will immediately slam this into the cube, no questions asked. Until those complaints come, I think we're good. You run as a creature, Molar my cloak on turn 3. Oh man, there you go. There's that good boomer content of I played back in I played back when these sets were out. Because yeah, isn't Molar Cloak's Ravnica, right? I could have sworn it
Original,
was.
yes, Ravnica.
Yeah. They were standard legal together, along with all sorts of other wild things. Yeah, I don't know. This is one where like I would like, if enough people are in favor of this, I can. Yeah, I'll go to my text file and I'll just say, poll Sheenan of Life's Roar. Cool. Arcasian Squire. Oh, yeah. A Crazen. I feel like we need more falter effects in red than lure effects in green. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Green tends to go tall versus going wide, and being able to falter in red is a little bit more needed. Yeah, Arcasian Squire is a Crassin? The Squire. It's just a 1/1 with Exalted. This is trying very desperately to be Isamaru. I've heard people have good times with this in Cube. I don't know. Any thoughts on this one, Fizzled? Any thoughts on the chat from the chat as well?
Yeah, I don't know. Exalted is one of those interesting abilities to me that I've never maximized in my aggro decks, I guess. Like, I don't know. Yeah, Soul Set basically describes my concern.
Yeah.
Basically every white X pair is so focused on going wide that the card is imperfect. You really want to be like splashing for the Squire, and if you're splashing for a 1-drop, well, why are you doing that?
Yeah. You get into weird situations with this one where it attacks once as a 2/2 and then it's a 1/1 forever, which, I can see the appeal. Ooh. We got some fun ones here. Oh, I'm going to talk about the card I want to talk about first because hold on. Let me pull up the right version of this card. Because, man, some people know how to make my boomer mind just very happy. Mesmeric Fiend. The classic. This is a Cube favorite. Oh, man. This is an interesting Magic card. It does have, like, the one, like, little skill gating thing that we've talked about in the past where, like, there is a play pattern here that for newer players is not obvious. The play pattern of sacking this in response to its own ETB trigger. In general, we have tried to avoid stuff like that because there is a certain quantity of players who this cube is something that they are introduced to when they are not super familiar with Magic as a whole. And some of the intricacies of the rules are a little bit foggy still. This is a card. If we had the version that had the combined one, what is it? Brain Maggot, I think.
Brain Maggot's the enchantment one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me pull it up.
Theros.
Yeah. So this one,
I also just
unfortunately,
made the mistake of looking up the price of foils from Torment as opposed to M25.
Yeah. So I would love to put in Mesmeric Fiend. It is one of those ones though where it has a specific non-beginner friendly thing. again, this is one of those ones where I would not fault someone for putting it in their own cube in the least, and in fact would probably recommend it. However, for the mainline cube, one of the goals is to make this an approachable, easy to learn format for people who are newer at Magic. And unfortunately, that's a little bit at odds with something with a weird play pattern that doesn't exist that much in Magic these days because they tend to couple these triggers together for this exact reason. Um, but yeah, I love him as Merrick Fiend. This makes my old self very happy that people still remember cards like this. And the last one that was in the thread there is Moonblade Shinobi, which I think we talked about when it came out. This is the funky ninjutsu one that's a 3/2, and you get 1/1s with flying when it connects. How do folks feel about this in the chat?
As well. Sorry, I'm going to read Calibu's comment. Calibu says, I'm late on the Sheenan, had to jump in the neighbor's car. It picks off creatures when pumped, and lets your creatures go wide in a color without green group pump effects. And that is it's accurate. One of the things that I wish green had was an overrun effect.
Please, I'm begging for any overrun. Hell, how has overrun never been like? I guess that's kind of miserable to put in retail limited common, isn't it?
Yeah, but like what kills me is I think the closest thing we've gotten is barge in from Eldraine. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and your non-human creatures get trample.
Yeah,
I just want group trample, really. That common, you could do it.
I am enjoying the duality of chat that I'm seeing here. Of Moonblade is a terror in my cube. Moonblade Boke MH1. Moonblade good. Meh. You'll probably hit once to get a 1/1. However, it doesn't allow you to rebuy an ETB. Yeah, I mean, I think this is better. What are the other common ninjutsu ones?
We have the unfun black rat, or maybe it's an ogre. It's a rat. Okiba Gang Shinobi. Yes. We have
Deep Hours. Yes.
A couple.
Deep Hours is actually in the cube. There's Mistblade, which is a 1/1 and super fragile but bounces stuff. Azura Smoke Shaper, which gives something indestructible and is also a 2-mana 3/3. Ninja of the New Moon, which is just a 6/3, which is what it is, and the one that does Grave Hate. Yeah, I don't know. I could see. Yeah, Moonblade Shinobi seems kind of fine. Like, hold on, there's got to be something that's currently in the cube that. Hold on, let me see. Filter token.
Are you looking for the equivalents? Like, which would be the? Oh gosh, I literally just looked at them. The Eldrazi and the...
Yeah. I'm pulling up Aven Eternal.
Aven Eternal.
Yeah, this is kind of a backwards Aven Eternal. And weirdly just plays pretty well with Aven Eternal as well. Like, swing it with my flyer. It's unblocked. Bounce it for the Shinobi. Shinobi makes a flyer. I get to recast the Aven Eternal in a mass again. That sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm trying this over a Mana War. That's an interesting proposition. But yeah, like, I think, let me see. I thought, are we still? No, we've moved off that. But yeah, like, I don't think in blue you're gonna have a hard time getting this in. But like, we're playing Gallant Cavalry, which is another like 4 power across 2 bodies for 4 mana, except Moonblade is going to be 3 if you're guaranteed the bodies. I don't know. I think this is a fine card, and if we got room, we can probably squeak that one in.
Yeah, I haven't played this particular ninja in cube I have played the uncommon and rare ones from MH1, and they are, of course,
Oh,
a beating predictably.
oh.
And then I played Moonblade in MH1 retail, and uh, at least there, I did connect twice before winning one game and twice before losing one game because there was just less removal than
I've
there is in the
I've
cube.
I've died to this god awful card so many times. Stupid Fallen Shinobi. Oh, thing's an absolute beating. Um, yeah, I think Moonblade Shinobi is a perfectly reasonable option. Um, all right, cool. I let me just double check. All right, there's one other discussion that I had on the docket for today. It's this little fishy friend of ours. It's Merfolk Looter, a magic card which was removed from the cube way back in the day, snuck in at some point again. I couldn't find it in my actual history logs of when it like snuck back in, but it did get back in, and then got removed alongside a couple of other looters. Um, there was a lot of discussion about looters this week, and folks who seemed to believe that the stance was they were too good. Um, I am going to level with you. Since the Pauper Cube Committee has started, we have not talked about looters, and if it's time to revisit them. Just hasn't come up. Um, I'm I'm fine with Merfolk Looter existing. Like, since there seemed to be a general consensus that people are big on it, I don't want to put Looter Ilcore in, just because Shadow puts it in a really odd place and is a one-off of like an ability that is very parasitic by nature. Um, I would rather just put in Merfolk Looter, see how people feel about it, and then reassess. But it was in between Avacyn and BF. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Looter is probably going to go in as a probationary app. If I get a bunch of emails being like, "Why did you put Looter in? It's completely oppressive and makes it so no one has any fun in my play group," we'll reconsider. Do I expect to get one of those emails? Probably not. It'll probably be a good magic card that people enjoy playing. That's kind of my take on this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I I clearly had the cube before it was, or had the cube constructed, excuse me, before the last time it left. Um, I I think about it sometimes. I don't know. I haven't seen. I hadn't previously seen a desperate need to add looter, but on my end, it's entirely. I'm trying to figure out how to bring other colors up to blue's level, rather than give blue more tools or whatnot. And doing doing one at a time seems or has seemed more appropriate. I remain a steward of the community as opposed to an owner of the cube.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been consistent with that language. Um, so if the community wants to see Merfolk Looter or its kin in, we can absolutely make that happen.
I mean, the really rad thing is if people complain, it can just come out again. It works wonderfully. Nothing is permanent. There's literal no risk besides someone maybe having a couple of drafts where they're a little bit tilted by blue decks. I'm willing to take that risk. All right, folks are asking for Rook Egg, which Rook Egg. I
I've
will.
always said Ruck. I don't know.
I will. I will be the first to admit. I believe this is. Oh, this is an Arabian Nights common. Oh, this is. This is dicey territory. This is weird. Old cards. I'm showing the ninth edition one because it's the one that has the text closest to the actual Oracle. And if I remember correctly, the original has some jank. Nuck if you ruck. Oh God, that's a hell of a reference to see on my
Um,
day off. Good
uh,
lord. Oh, that's
I don't know if that makes me feel old or makes me feel old, but that makes me feel old.
oh, I do appreciate it. Don't feel like this was a slight against you, Valstein. Um, yeah. The only like serious downside I can see with Ruck Egg is I will get a bunch of messages of people being upset that we've put something that has a gold symbol in the cube. That said, I forgot that this thing was like an O3. Um, but like that's a pretty reasonable blocker. It's gonna keep small stuff at bay, and if you want it to just die and turn into a 4/4, and it's an end of turn. What the hell? Oh my god! I forgot. I forgot how weird old Magic cards can be. Um, we can think about
Oh,
this
that's the
one.
other one. I thought it was Dragon Egg. Dun, dun, dun. No, hey man, there's thousands of cards in my dumb human brain,
Oh yeah, no.
and
I completely understand. Of course it showed up with the other dragon egg. Yeah, no. The difference here is pretty stark. Fire breathing maybe not as good as just 4/4. Huh? Yeah, we'll think about this one. This one will be reasonably far down the list. Um, that actually is probably a pretty reasonable candidate for a poll. So yes, Dragonfire and Bogart and Hellkite and Ruck Egg. Yeah. 4/4 flyer just owns this guy. Pretty much. Let me see. Let me see what we got. In the cube.
I think
O colon flying.
Heron and something else are the closest there.
Aaron
There.
Ephemeron is a 4/4 as well. But yes, I think unless I'm missing something, 4/4 is actually outside of like stacking stuff on a single creature and oh,
We've got the threatening Thunder Drake and a
Thunderdrake
couple
and
of three fours.
Skyclave Sentinel if you can kick it at 7 mana. Yeah. Huh. All right, we'll put that one to a poll. It's a talky one. Hold on, there was one. Okay, I missed. Caliboo had a couple in chat. Let me. Uh, oh God, I have somehow managed. Oh no. Sorry about that one, folks. Hopefully nothing went down there, but I managed to somehow completely lock my computer for some by some weird arcane key press combination. So apologies for that moment there.
Pretty good.
We managed to not break it. So all right. Let's see what else we got. Caliboo had asked about Marasa Behemoth. I think I remember this one. Yeah,
Cares about lands and graveyards.
a land in graveyard. Nothing more, nothing less. Currently we have, I believe, outside of looting effects, like a handful of ways to actually get a land in a graveyard. Um, and it's
Pretty
exact.
much mill and evolving wilds. Yeah.
It's evolving wilds. It's the cycling lands. It's terramorphic, ash barrens. Just trying to see if there's any other. I think the big thing for me is the fact that like we could also. Here's my question: Is an 8/8 that much bigger than a 6/6? And if so, And if not, why not just play Colossal Dreadmaw for both meme and just ease of use. Let me see.
Well, yeah, from 20 life, one is 3 turns of attacking and one is 4 turns. Clocks really matter. I know that sounded sarcastic, but it is not. That is, maths.
I'm looking and I'm seeing.
And Edge of Autumn.
Edge of Autumn, yeah. Yeah, I just worry that a lot of the time this is just going to be a 5/5 trampler that doesn't get bigger. This is one that we can revisit later down the road, I feel, after things have changed more. What else we got here? Tishana. Alright. Tishana's Wayfinder, which is a Grey Ogre, or sometimes a 3/3 for 3, sometimes draws a card. It's either 3/3 for 3 that can surveil 1, or it's a 2/2 that draws a land. Yeah, it's fine. This does kind of seem a little bit more in the realm of like pushing stuff around in a kind of whatever way, in my opinion. But yeah, it's one of those things where we just
feels like making a change for the purpose of making a change potentially, as opposed to because it's critical. God, okay, so
one last
goofy.
We got one
goofy
last
question.
Yeah, what do you got?
I know, but no, the 3/3 that we talked about earlier. So if the whole
mole?
Not the, I guess it's not a mole. Was it a 3/2 instead?
Which one?
I don't know. Green card from the current set that I have lost my memory of. Mills 3 cards, then you may return
a 2/3
card. 2/3. Oh, that's material difference. You don't need to grab it.
Farmer, yeah.
Okay.
Last up we had Trusted Force Mage, Avacyn Restored Classic. It's a 3-mana 3/3 that buffs another thing. I don't know. I think this is probably fine. You'll probably get some mileage out of it. It's not really something that dreadfully excites me. In general, a lot of the Soulbond stuff at Common was like fine. And this is not one of the ones where I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Like, there's what is it? Druid's Familiar at Uncommon, which bonds for +2/+2 that I think is much more impactful. But yeah, like, I'm not in love with Trusted Force Mage. All right, cool. Gotten through everything. Does anyone else have any questions? Drop them in the chat. Have fun. All that good stuff. 3-mana green creature in an awkward spot. Yeah, there's not a lot of great stuff in there. I'm gonna level with you. Just in general.
Yeah. I think that's fair. In particular, since we do have right now the 1-drop elves. If the whole point is to get to your 3 drops on turn 2, you want those creatures to be bigger and more threatening than whatever your opponent is doing on turn 2, and some of them are not. They're just utility.
Yeah. Maybe we got some reasonable ones in there, but yeah. It's definitely something to think about.
Where's our 5/5 for just 3 green mana?
What is that one? The Llanowar or whatever from the triple green Dominaria card?
Yeah, I think that one is only a 4/4, maybe.
No, that's a 5/4.
Oh, it
and
is.
and it has
Okay.
more text on it. It's a absolutely brutal thing to print from someone who grew up with bad creatures perspectives. Steel Leaf Champion. There you go. Thank you.
Oh, that wasn't the one I was thinking of.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I was thinking about the
Um,
actually messed up 3 mana 5 power thing. All right. Oh, there's Llanowar Tribe. Ah, yes, three Llanowar elves stapled together. There's Mokta rioters, Motka rioters. Ugh, God. I don't. We're never making domain a thing. I just want to like put that out there. Someone wants to clip it and ship it, for later down the road in like 3 years when we make domain a thing. Sure, fine, whatever. I could live with that. All right. Got any other questions in the chat?
I'm not seeing anything so far,
I know, but
but
we're on
is me
some.
stalling?
I'm kind of stalling a little bit here just so that folks do have a chance if there's enough of a delay. I want to make sure that folks, thanks for doing this, no problem. Yeah, I always enjoy these, and I enjoy them more when there's not like multiple sets to go through, and my brain is just absolutely melting by the end of it. Um, though, don't worry, we got what, like maybe 2 weeks before previews for the next Innistrad set start up. So fun times, fun times. All right, cool. In that case, thank you everyone for being here. We will see you again when it comes time for the next Innistrad set. Reminder, as always, these only happen when a standard set comes out. That said, we've got one coming out in November, so we'll be there again. But yeah, everyone have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and there will be stuff in the Discord. So I'm assuming most people here have already joined, especially because I didn't post it anywhere else. But if you haven't already, go check out the Discord. But thanks everyone.
And Caliboo has an excellent recommendation before we all leave. Remember to drink water.
I've
Thank you, Callie. That's
I've I've
I've
I've
been trying.
I've been sipping on a delightful seltzer water this entire time. So good reminder.
Nice. All right. Have
Cool.
a great rest of your day, everyone.
Yeah. See you in a month.